Hi. Welcome back to Movies Recaps. Today I'm presenting a romance drama film from 2002 titled Maid in Manhattan. Spoilers are ahead. Be warned and enjoy. This woman's name is Marisa Ventura. She is both mother and father to her only son, Ty. Since divorcing her husband, she has struggled to raise her son on her own. She supports her small family by working tirelessly from day to night. Marissa works as a waitress at a five-star hotel in Manhattan, a hotel that often hosts important, rich, and famous guests. Although she is merely a waitress, Marissa always performs her duties wholeheartedly and never complains. Thanks to her disciplined, nimble hard work, she frequently receives compliments from her superiors and the guests. Her friend Stephanie didn't hesitate to recommend her for the new assistant manager position. One day, the hotel welcomed two very important guests. The first was a member of the People's Legislative Assembly named Christopher Marshall. At that time, Chris was preparing a campaign to run for senator and had chosen the hotel as his conference center. The second guest was an upper-class socialite named Caroline Lane. When Caroline noticed how dedicated Marissa was at work, she deliberately assigned Marissa an extra task outside her usual duties, to purchase stockings for her. Even though Marissa was in a hurry, needing to attend a speech at her son's school, she was still willing to complete the task Caroline ordered. Arriving at the shop, Marissa felt furious because the shopkeeper continually ignored her. This caused her to immediately lose her temper. After that, she rushed to Ty's school because it was time for him to give his speech. However, Ty stuttered and his friends laughed at him, causing him to spontaneously leave the stage. Marissa, witnessing this, immediately approached him. He swore he would never give another speech. Gently, Marissa advised him that if nervousness always overtook him, he should try again someday, assuring him that it would surely get better. Unfortunately, her advice did little to change Ty's mind. To cheer him up, she gave him a gift. Later, having to return to work, Marissa took Ty to the hotel and left him with her co-workers. Upon returning to the hotel, Caroline instructed Marissa to return some clothes to the boutique, and Marissa, without hesitation, carried out the order. However, Stephanie, who was supposed to assist Marissa, became distracted by the expensive items, especially Caroline's famous brand clothes meant for return. Not wanting to miss the opportunity, Stephanie kept persuading Marissa to try on and wear one. Meanwhile, Ty, feeling bored, decided to take a walk around the hotel. While riding the elevator, he accidentally met Chris, who had long been his idol. Chris casually invited Ty to talk, and he was amazed by the intelligence of the 10-year-old. Without much thought, Chris asked Ty to join him at the park. Ty happily accepted the invitation, though he wanted to ask his mother for permission first. Meanwhile, Marissa finally relented to Stephanie's persuasion. While trying on the fancy clothes, Ty and Chris came to see her. Chris looked amazed when he saw Marissa looking beautiful and elegant in the dress. At that moment, she was forced to impersonate Caroline. With no other choice, she accepted Chris's invitation to go to the park with her. At the park, Marissa thanked Chris for his generosity in taking Ty for a walk, and thanks to his kindness, Ty, who had been gloomy since the chaotic speech, slowly became cheerful again. Chris always shared tips on overcoming nervousness when speaking in public. During his own speeches, he would tightly grip a paperclip that served as his talisman. After hearing Chris's words, Ty felt encouraged and soon joined Marissa and Chris on a penguin spotting outing. While they were watching the penguins, Chris suddenly invited Marissa to attend Maddox's charity event. Determined to end her deceptions, she, of course, refused his invitation. She realized that she was merely a fake Caroline and knew that she would soon have to return to her role as a servant. She immediately instructed Ty to leave Chris. Upon arriving back at the hotel, Marissa immediately removed the expensive clothes she had been wearing. For if she were found wearing Caroline's clothes without permission, she risked being fired. In the midst of the panic, Paula suddenly called Marissa to meet with their boss. Overwhelmed by extraordinary anxiety, Marissa feared her boss would discover her impudence and promptly dismiss her. But unexpectedly, after a 6-week training period, she was actually promoted to the new assistant manager. Her boss remarked that sometimes when one opportunity closes in life, another opens. It turned out that Stephanie had submitted Marissa's application to HR without her knowledge, a move that sparked Marissa's emotions and led to a dispute between them. Stephanie warned Marissa not to squander the opportunity right before her eyes. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Chris, who had fallen in love with the impersonated Caroline, immediately asked Lionel, the butler, to send an invitation to lunch to Caroline's room. The next day, Marissa was shocked to discover that she and Chris had made the headlines in the newspapers. Increasingly, she feared her lies would be exposed. However, Stephanie assured her that everything would be fine. The news eventually reached Chris, but he remained unfazed. It was, after all, his secretary Jerry who fretted that Chris's image might suffer. Meanwhile, the real Caroline was saddened by her boyfriend's departure. Suddenly, she was both surprised and delighted when she received a lunch invitation from Chris and left immediately. Chris was astonished by what he saw. The woman with him now was not the Caroline he had met earlier. He confirmed this directly with Lionel. Although he wanted to deny it 1,000 times, the woman was indeed named Caroline Line. Meanwhile, Marissa, who was on duty, constantly tried to avoid meeting Chris face to face. After lunch, Chris told Jerry that the Caroline who had come earlier was not the woman he wished to date. While they discussed it, he accidentally saw the fake Caroline, Marissa, walking with Ty. Upon witnessing this, Chris quickly approached Marissa and explained what had happened at lunch. She immediately offered an excuse, saying she had moved to another hotel, desperate to prevent their conversation from spreading. Then she quickly left and avoided Chris. Yet even as Marissa continued to evade him, Chris did not lose hope. Instead, he became even more attracted to her. He promised Jerry that he would attend the charity event as long as Jerry managed to bring Marissa along. Then, Jerry immediately consulted with Lionel for help in finding her. Lionel, who already knew everything, promptly told her to come to the charity event and to end any relationship with Chris. Marissa's friends, aware of the news, agreed with her boss's suggestion. They didn't want Marissa to get swept away by love and neglect her newly built career. As true friends, they were even ready to prepare everything she needed for a stellar performance at the charity event. That evening, Chris warmly welcomed Marissa's enchanting presence and began dancing with her. However, just as Marissa was about to reveal her deceptions to Chris, he had to leave to see Maddox. Caroline, who witnessed everything, naturally felt jealous and chased after Marissa, who kept fleeing from her. After catching up, Caroline realized that Marissa's face looked strangely familiar, but before she could react further, Marissa ran away again. Outside the building, Chris, realizing Marissa was about to exit the event, immediately held on to her. He wanted to spend the night with her. The next morning, after leaving a letter, Marissa slowly departed with the quietest steps possible. Yet no matter how well she hid her secret, it would eventually be exposed. She, having just left Chris's room, was caught red-handed by Caroline. Caroline, feeling outraged that her identity had been stolen, then complained about Marissa's actions to both the hotel manager and Chris, who had arrived. Fed up, Caroline immediately revealed all of Marissa's lies, seizing the moment to win Chris's heart. Although Chris insisted on denying the truth, at that moment Marissa was dishonorably fired. Following that incident, Lionel also resigned from his job. For Lionel, our actions do not define who we are. Though we serve them, we are not their servants. What truly matters is how we rise after falling. Marissa then left with a broken heart. Meanwhile, Chris urged her to tell him the truth. Unable to hold back any longer, Marissa revealed all her secrets. At that moment, she simply wished to experience life without feeling inferior just because her profession as a maid was so often underestimated. But no matter how much she denied reality, it only made it clear that they would never be one. Their caste differences, as vast as the heavens and the earth, created an unbridgeable chasm between them. Marissa felt that day was the worst of her life. Arriving home, instead of being greeted by her mother's hug, Marissa was scolded. Her mother already knew of her dismissal. Her mother told her to wake up from her delusions, for no amount of installments or food could fill a lie. Her mother immediately sent Marissa to work with relatives, but Marissa vehemently refused. Although she was indeed a waitress at the hotel, she was not a maid. She would continue working on her own terms, regardless of her mother's opinion. Since that incident, Marissa's life has been under the constant scrutiny of cameras and has become a target for journalists. Chris did not want to remain silent. He made it clear to the media that he and Marissa were just friends. He is friendly with everyone regardless of social status, and he did not want the class differences in his friendships to become a laughingstock. After things died down, Chris focused on his campaign for senator, while Marissa busily supported her family by working as a waitress at another hotel. One day, Ty accidentally saw on the news that Chris was holding a press conference at the hotel where Marissa worked. Ty, who was on his way to school, suddenly joined the press conference. Arriving there, he mustered the courage to speak his mind. Ty knew that his mother had deceived Chris, and that was not a mistake to be taken lightly. Yet, considering that perfection belongs to God and mistakes to everyone, He sincerely asked Chris to forgive and give Marissa a second chance. Chris was willing to forgive and grant Marissa another chance. Ty then drove Chris to meet Marissa. Remembering that his love for Marissa still burned as brightly as ever, Chris confessed his feelings again, promising that even if the world were against them, he would love Marissa sincerely without any conditions. Naturally, this shocked the media and became good news for Marissa's relatives. A year later, Chris was elected as a senator and Marissa became a successful hotel manager. Then they began living as a well-matched couple. This film is based on the true story of Stephen Clark Rockefeller, the son of New York's governor, Nelson Rockefeller. In 1959, Stephen married Anne-Marie Rasmussen, a waitress who had once worked at his family's hotel in Manhattan. There you have it. What did you think of that movie? Like and subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments section. See you next for more fun recaps.